Hello again, baseball fans. Welcome into the Ducks on the Pod program, your favorite or soon-to-be favorite podcast focusing on anything and everything about the sport we all love. This is episode number 29, and I've got a lot to say, so let's get right to it. Shout out to a good friend of the show, Kirk, for stressing to me the importance of ratings and reviews on iTunes. We've gotten a few of those to come in over the past couple weeks, so I wanted to thank you kindly if you're one of the ones who've taken the time to do that. If not, please consider doing so. It would really mean a lot to me. On that note, a big thank you goes out to Dave, an old college classmate of mine, for his review and loyal listenership. Dave was actually one of the very first people I met at Bluffton University. Don't worry about it if you haven't heard of it. There's no reason you would have. But yeah, Dave and I lived in the same dorm our freshman year, and he'll have to jog my memory because I can't remember if he and Zach were right next door to Mike and I, or if they were directly across the hall or a few doors down or what. He was somewhere very near room 118 on the first floor of Ramsire Hall, though. And I mean, we used the same bathroom and showers for 8 months, for crying out loud. That sort of proximity creates a special bond that cannot be forgotten. Thanks again, Dave. Shout out to ya boy Chaz, who I have to assume is my good friend Chase, a.k.a. Chaz, a.k.a. Jazzy Chaz, a.k.a. many other aliases. Thanks for the review, even if I do disagree with it just slightly. I could never provide totally unbiased opinions. Our biases are what make us interesting. If we all agreed on everything, this would be quite a boring show and quite a boring world in general. You are correct, though. I do try my best to include every team in baseball, and that's because I love the game as a whole. Of course, I'll always have a spot in my heart for the Tigers. They're my hometown team, the team I grew up with, the team that led me into this love affair with the sport. But at this point, I can't call myself a fan of any one team. I'm just a fan of the game. And I've actually got a lot more to say on this, and I don't want to say it all right here, right now, so we'll circle back at a later date. Now, I've been able to identify most of the usernames who wrote reviews, but there are a couple of you out there who have left me wondering who you might be. For example, who is Boots13? I want to thank you personally for your review, especially the fact that you gave me 4 out of 5 stars, so that I have something to work for. I love that. Thank you. Not that I need the reminder, I've always been my harshest critic. Still, I promise to resist the urge to rest on my laurels. Another one, who is MLB Mingle? I want to thank you personally for your review. It's an honor to be the only podcast you're subscribed to, and I'll try my best to keep you from feeling like you have to go looking for others. There you have it. Rate the show, write up a little review, and in return, I'll shout you out on the next episode. Also, and I don't say this nearly enough, if you have something that you want to hear about, do not hesitate to send it my way. Chances are I'll have something to say about it, and I can turn it into a segment for the show. While I have a lot of great ideas, I think my best work comes when I have to react to someone else's thoughts. Plus, I want to know what you guys think, and I'm always looking for ways to get you more involved. That's quite literally what I'm here for. So drop us a tweet at Ducks on the Pod, post on our Facebook page, send smoke signals. My fellow Game of Thrones fans can dispatch a raven. Get a hold of me however you possibly can. I look forward to hearing from you. Remember, the notes and links to this and every episode of Ducks on the Pod are available over at sportshacks.com. That's hacks with an X. While you're there, do some browsing. We've got some great writers and podcasters in our lineup. They're bringing you the kind of content that you want and, quite frankly, will not find anywhere else. Now, last time we spoke, I said that I couldn't think of any good reasons why there aren't more stadiums around baseball with retractable roofs. And after stewing over it, I still can't think of any good reasons why there aren't more stadiums around baseball with retractable roofs. And I say the following only because I think it was at one point an issue and a potential reason why we don't have more of these bad boys. 5 stadiums have healthy green grass growing under a retractable roof. Those 5 are Chase Field in Arizona, Marlins Park in Miami, Miller Park in Milwaukee, Minute Maid Park in Houston, and Safeco Field in Seattle. Rogers Center in Toronto also has a retractable roof, but not the real grass underneath it. The Blue Jays and Rays are the only 2 teams still playing on artificial turf, and the Rays are also the only team still playing in a permanently closed dome. It's widely known and discussed, but I'll say it again, they cannot get out of Tropicana Field soon enough. It is just killing them in so many ways. The Rangers will join the retractable roof ranks soon-ish when their new Globe Life Park opens in 2020. That will be Major League Baseball's 7th such stadium. The article I have linked in the notes is a grammatical nightmare that gives me anxiety just reading it, but if you can get past that, it's got some quality info on our subject here. Taking a look, it's quite a mixed bag of geographic locations and climates for those 5 stadiums. I think it's safe to say that we have the technology and ability to maintain natural grass, even if it is technically indoors. So the whole turf sucks argument, while still accurate, does not apply here. We've proven that we can have a roof without necessarily having the turf to go along with it. And in light of that, I've got nothing. Not one single reason why you wouldn't want your team to play in a stadium with the retractable roof. You would never have to wait out another rain delay, never have to struggle through another 95-degree day. So you tell me, is there something I'm missing? Is there a legitimate reason there aren't more than 6 teams in baseball that have a retractable roof stadium? Again, those 6, Arizona, Houston, Miami, Milwaukee, Toronto, even though it has turf, and Seattle with Texas soon to be the 7th. In my opinion, if you live in any of those areas, you've got it made as a baseball fan. Bad weather has been taken out of the equation for you, and good weather is still available for you to enjoy. You don't have so much of an excuse to be missing out on games. When we have the ability to shut out the elements and just get on with the game without making the sacrifices of having to play indoors or on a carpet every day, it just doesn't make sense to me why you wouldn't want to go this route. I've officially started down the path to becoming an old man. I've begun my first full season of softball, and let me tell you, it ain't hardball. I dabbled in summers past, but I was more of a fill-in than an actual rostered player. Now, though, I have nowhere to hide. I am a member of my friend Drew's church team, the Birds of Prey. Yes, Prey is spelled with an A. Technically, we have 2 separate teams, one on Tuesdays, one on Wednesdays. I'm on both squads, though, so I guess we'll see which of the 2 days is the more productive one for me. And I know I'm going to jinx myself here. We'll get into more jinxes later. But I know I'm going to jinx myself here and just say that I've started the campaign with a 5-game hitting streak, which includes an RBI base hit in each of the first 3 games, the first 2 coming with 2 outs. I'm off to a 7 for 17 start, which is of note because I've never been much of a hitter. And if I keep myself hovering around a 400 clip for the rest of the season, I will be mighty proud of myself. Again, that's a big if. The 2 most notable differences I've noticed early on in my transition from hardball to slow-pitch softball, both of them have to do with timing. First, when you're trying to hit a softball, you have to be super patient. Every pitch comes floating in there so tantalizingly. Of course, not everyone is as juicy as it seems. You can't get too antsy trying to pulverize the first one you see. You got to keep in mind that thing has a long way to fall before it's in your hitting zone. That's much different than in baseball, where you sometimes have to start your swing as the pitcher releases the ball if you want a decent chance at hitting it squarely. I say this as much for me as I do for you. I'm learning, and I need the constant reminders until it becomes natural. It surely is not that yet. The second major difference works in the exact opposite way. While you have seemingly an eternity at the plate waiting for the ball to get to you, you do not have that same luxury on the infield. You've got about a half a second to react to a batted ball that's normally smoked because it was just lobbed in there to the guy. Then, assuming you got your glove on a ground ball, even if it was a hot shot right at you, you've got about another half a second to get that ball back out of your hand and over to first. Those bases are only 60 feet apart, so even slow guys like me have a chance to beat out a grounder here or there. So don't double pump, don't crow hop, just scoop it up, take a step, and get rid of it. If you bobbled it at all, the better play is probably just to hang on to it. I learned that one the hard way while over at the hot corner in the first game. And again, I repeat, I'm saying these things as much for me as I am for you. The things I'll be drilling into my brain all summer long on the all-dirt diamond as I transition into the true senior circuit. All right, let's get into no-hitters now. I want to preface this segment with a tweet that I saw from Sarah Langs on Twitter. She said there have now been 13 no-hit bids of 6+ innings pitched this season, and there were 24 such bids all of last year. That tweet was from Tuesday, April 24th. Since then, we've had at least 5 more that I've seen, probably more that I've missed. There's obviously been a couple of no-nos in that short time, too. I'm glad she put some numbers behind it and said something because I had definitely noticed it happening a lot this season. And while I can't tell you exactly why it's happening, I do have some theories that could combine to form somewhat of an explanation. Most obviously, to me, the weather. Pitchers certainly don't like throwing in the cold, but they know that batters hate hitting in it. Have you ever made poor contact on a fastball cutting in on the handle of your bat when it's 40 degrees out? If you have, you know why hitters hate cold weather. Anything less than solid contact makes their hands sting like crazy. Pitchers are well aware of that, and as a result, they pitch more aggressively. They attack the hitters and actually challenge them to hit the ball. As the season goes on and the weather warms up, I think this strategy changes. I think it has to. The same contact that sees a fly ball die at the track in April can send one 10 rows deep in July. Pitchers are more aggressive in their approach while the weather is still dreary. That's my first theory. Secondly, a lot of good hitters just don't get off to good starts. It might be the weather, it might be getting that timing down, it might be just thinking too much about the games actually counting after spring training. Whatever it is, a lot of hitters don't put up the same numbers in April that we're used to seeing from them the rest of the season. Just like the weather issue, this does go both ways. There are plenty of pitchers who don't do their best work in the early part of the season, but I think it benefits them more than it hurts them. A starter takes the mound pretty much once a week, and if one start doesn't go the way you planned, you've got a few days to hit the reset button and get back to the basics. That can be nearly impossible to do as a hitter when you're out there day after day without much of a chance to stop and think about why you might be in such a slump. That's my second theory. Pitchers just have a natural advantage over hitters in the early going. I don't have the numbers I would need to sufficiently back that up, but then that's why they call it a theory, isn't it? Third and final theory as to why we've seen so many no-hit bids in the first month plus here. Pitchers are simply getting better. The past couple of seasons have seen an offensive explosion with a focus on launch angle, driving a dramatic increase in home runs. So far this season, we've seen pitchers strike back. For the first time in Major League Baseball history, the number of strikeouts exceeded the number of hits during a calendar month. Hitters have made it known that the fly ball revolution is definitely real. The thing is, pitchers know how to approach guys who are just trying to lift the ball. You keep chucking that high cheese until they stop waving and missing. Ask Giancarlo Stanton. He'll tell you all about it. Or maybe not, since it doesn't look like he's figured it out for himself quite yet. So, 1, pitchers know that most hitters don't like working in the cold weather that we've had so much of in April. 2, generally speaking, pitchers round into mid-season form much earlier than hitters do. And 3, pitchers are learning how to combat the launch angle approach that's spread throughout the sport as guys chase home runs. Strikeouts have flown off the charts in response. Add those three things together, mix in the fact that baseball is utterly unpredictable and weird stuff just happens regularly. And I think that's why we've seen 17, no-hit bids taken into the 7th inning this season. Again, last year that number reached 24. If you're betting, I'd take the over. Now, Sean Manaea's no-no against the Bo Sox on Saturday the 21st got me thinking. I flipped it on once I got the notification that he had gotten through 6. So my question to you is, at what point do you turn on a no-hitter in progress? At what point does it become real? I'd say most people take notice after the 5th inning. That's at least what I do. I think if you make it that far, you're halfway there, more than halfway there, and it's a thing at that point. I've said on past episodes, as I think about it, this might be my claim to fame as a sports fan so far. I was in attendance for Armando Galarraga's perfect game that was not because of a blown call by Jim Joyce at first with 2 outs in the 9th. Tragically, there was no replay in baseball back then. And geez, does that make me sound old. But I mentioned that night because that game, I almost didn't go to it. It was a last-minute decision a couple of my friends and I made. It turned out to be the single most memorable game I've ever gone to. Now and since then, really, I go into every game with the thought that it might be something special, something historic. Obviously, only a very select few games end up registering on that scale, but still, that chance, that hope, that mystery, to me, that's what baseball is all about. And that's what keeps us coming back year after year, game after game. You literally never know what you're going to see at the ballpark. By the way, are you one of those assholes who continue to root for your team to break up a no-no just for the sake of breaking it up?
Shame.
Even when the game is out of reach? Wouldn't you rather see history even at your team's expense? I don't know. I've just never understood that line of thinking. Apparently, Blue Jays fans don't either. Applause to them. They cheered as James Paxton finished off their Jays in the 9th inning Tuesday night. Like I said, at this point, I'd consider myself more of a fan of the game than any one team. So even when I was a big Tiger slappy, though, I would still easily have traded one night of my team sucking for the chance to see an historic event. Without even having to think twice, I'd sign up for that. But how do you feel about the even more rare combined no-hitter? We just saw one a few days ago in Monterrey, Mexico, where the Dodgers and Padres took the Major League show on the road for the weekend. Walker Buehler, Tony Cingrani, Yimi Garcia, and Adam Liberatore held their opponents hitless for 9 innings. That does qualify as a no-hitter, even if it does feel completely different. There's something about this accomplishment that loses most of its luster once the starter gets lifted. It's rare to see because managers, they are people too. They want to give their guys an opportunity to finish it up if they have themselves in a position to do it. In this case, though, there was no argument. Buehler was making just his 3rd career start. As we've come to expect, he's being monitored the way that most big-time pitching prospects are now. Dave Roberts got Buehler out of there after 6 masterful innings, and there wasn't anything anyone could say about it. Unfortunately for everyone, that was just the right call at that time in that situation. But we are left with an unanswerable question. Could Buehler have gone the distance if he had been given the chance to? Lastly, on this no-hitter subject, and most importantly of all, when it comes to no-hitters, do you believe in the Jinx? I'll tell you what, I sure don't. I mean, I get that it's more fun to pretend that saying something makes a difference. I know full well how superstitious a game baseball is and how rigidly players, managers, and fans stick to the things that supposedly bring good luck. But if you're telling me with a straight face that you believe mentioning a no-hitter will put it at risk, then I will tell you that you believe much too strongly in the power of the butterfly effect. Things are not as intertwined as you evidently think they are. If you want to play along with that game, I have absolutely no issue with that. Go ahead, have fun. Think of as many ways to say so-and-so has a no-hitter going without explicitly saying so-and-so has a no-hitter going. but don't call me an asshole for pointing out that a guy has made it through 6 without allowing a hit. I am just trying to spread the word so that more people can enjoy the ride before it ends. Trust me, if it's going to end, it's going to end whether I say something or not. The only ones with any control over the situation are out on the field, and you can bet they're talking about it too. All right, before I get out of here, I want to throw a trivia question at you with a chance for you to win a prize. This one comes from Kirk, who sent me a whole sheet of Reds trivia a couple weeks ago, and I'd like to say that I held my own, considering I'm not as plugged into Reds history as he is. So in honor of the start of my first full season, this one's a softball. Who is the only player in Major League history to win the MVP award in both the American and National League? Hint, he played for the Reds at one point. Now again, that question, who is the only player in Major League history to win the MVP award in both the American and National League? He was a Red at one point. Anyone who shoots me the right answer will win themselves a super exclusive Ducks on the Pod Season 2 t-shirt, which will be coming soon, I promise. A few of you have asked me about those, and I haven't placed the order quite yet, but rest assured, those bad boys are on the horizon. So here's your chance to win one at absolutely no cost to you. Thanks for playing, and good luck to all. All right, baseball fans, that's going to do it for me. Again, my name is Mitch Gatzke, and this has been episode number 29 of Ducks on the Pod. As always, thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. And if you have the time, please head over to iTunes, rate and review the show. I would really, really appreciate that as we try to spread the word here. Until next time, remember, keep your glove on the dirt, your bat off your shoulder, and always keep your eye on the ball.
See you later. Adios!
See ya!
Goodbye! Be gone!
Back, gone.